Mr. and Mrs., hello. My pleasure to present the study entitled Performance of Serial Measurements of beta-glucan Manan anti-Manan, which was a post-hoc analysis pre-planned of the Empiricus randomized trial. Empirical therapy for suspicion of invasive candidiasis is a frequent event in ICU patients, whereas candidemia is a rare event diagnosed often lately and associated with high risk of death. Empirical therapy of critically ill patients with sepsis is therefore recommended despite very moderate quality of evidence. During the Empiricus trial, we failed to demonstrate a benefit of a 14-day micafungin therapy on the day 28 mortality without invasive fungal infection in non-neutropenic, non-transplanted ICU mechanically ventilated patients with sepsis of unknown etiology and non-digestive candida colonization. And indeed, in the ATIRS guidelines, there is really no good way to properly start an empirical therapy. The role of biomarker is therefore challenged, and in the ATS guidelines, there is no definite and formal conclusion, and only a recommendation against relies the treatment only with serum beta-glucan alone for starting the therapy. If we look at the meta-analysis of data of beta-glucan on ICU, you see that the sensitivity in diagnosing invasive candidiasis is only 80% with a specificity of 60%. And finally, the positive likelihood is only 2, and the negative likelihood is only 0.32, giving an odds ratio of 7 for beta-glucan of more than 80 picogram per ml in diagnosing invasive candidiasis in ICU patients. Of course, there is a lot of false positive results, and for example, there is a very important increase of the beta-glucan after immunoglobulin perfusion, leading to false positive in this case. The role of beta-glucan have been and serial beta-glucan have been challenged in a study from Lausanne for the surgical ICU in Lausanne that looked to patients with abdominal surgery after abdominal surgery and acute pancreatitis. They looked to 4 groups: patients not colonized, colonized only, with a possible candida infection, and with a documented intra-abdominal candidiasis. And indeed, in this study, the level of beta-glucan increased with the groups, but you see that there is a lot of overlap between the groups. And they conclude that if the prevalence is high, and it was 25% in this study, the diagnostic value of 2 repeated beta-glucan of more than 80 picogram per ml is quite good. And the positivity of beta-glucan occur 5 days before the formal diagnosis of intra-abdominal candidiasis. Moreover, in this study, they found that in the patients with a definite intra-abdominal candidiasis, that the decrease of beta-glucan is associated with a better outcome. That is to say that the increase of beta-glucan is perhaps a parameter of poor outcome. For Manan anti-Manan, the results are quite average also, and the sensitivity and specificity is about 80% in all the study. And Clancy here look at the positive predictive value if the prevalence is low or high. And it concludes that with beta-glucan or Manan anti-Manan, only with prevalence with pretest probability of more than 10%, there is a good negative predictive value. But you see here that the positive predictive value is only 31%, giving an overtreatment of about 70% of the patients. That's why it was important to look at the serial measurement of beta-glucan in patients with risk of invasive candidiasis. And we evaluate the performance of this serial measurement of both biomarkers in predicting death and invasive candidiasis in patients with previous candida colonization, sepsis, multiple organ failure, and risk factors of invasive candidiasis. It was a pre-planned analysis of the Empiricus trial. And here, some point about the methods and statistics. The inclusion were patients with mechanical ventilation for more than 5 days, at least one positive extradigestive site of candida, more than 2 organ failures, 4 days of broad-spectrum antibiotics, and a new sepsis in normal troponin non-transplanted patients. And we performed blindly biobanking with BDG and Manan, anti-Manan, anti-GEMS antibody at day 0, 3, 7, 14, and 28 after inclusion. And the threshold used in the analysis was for beta-glucan 80 picogram per ml and 250 picogram per ml, and for Manan, anti-Manan 0.5 and 10 respectively. The statistics used traditional descriptive statistics, and for predicting invasive candidiasis or death, we use a competing risk model, which is called co-specific model, that will look jointly to the risk of invasive candidiasis and the risk of dying along with time. Here are the population. 234 patients were included. There was 118 patients in the micafungin group, aged 64. You see that the number of dysfunction is very important, with a SOFA score at inclusion about 8. Many patients are under hemofiltration or hemodialysis. So candida score is most of time positive. The beta-glucan of more than 80 occur in more than 50% of the patients. And there was a lot of patients with antibody or antigens manner. If you look to the population, here you have the patients without invasive fungal infection, and there was 28 patients with invasive fungal infection that occurred at the time of inclusion or after inclusion for 16 of them. And you see here that there was a very few difference between invasive fungal infection and no invasive fungal infection. Only the candida score was slightly different. The use of parenteral nutrition too. Only the beta-glucan of more than 80 was quite different between both groups. And if we look to invasive fungal infection and inclusion versus after inclusion, you see that after inclusion, 3/4 of the patients have a beta-glucan of more than 80. Manan antibody and antigens were not discriminant for the risk of invasive fungal infection. If you look to the co-specific model, introducing only the beta-glucan at admission, you see here that the beta-glucan at admission is really discriminant and able to predict the risk of invasive candidiasis, documented invasive candidiasis. And here it is very significant. In the overall, the risk of invasive candidiasis is about 20% overall, and for the placebo group, it is about 26%. And there was a very important difference according to the time 0 beta-glucan. On the contrary, beta-glucan was not able to separate patients with poor outcome and good outcome. If you look to modelization, and if we look to day 0 beta-glucan or day 0 beta-glucan using another cutoff, or the increase of beta-glucan of more than 24%, which is a coefficient of variation as a time-dependent covariate, or any increase of the beta-glucan or time-dependent beta-glucan. Here, the only beta-glucan at time 0 was able to predict invasive fungal infection and not at all able to predict death. And none of the other models were able to improve the diagnostic performance. And it was the same for the placebo group only. If you look to Manan antigens and antibody, there was really no impact of menin antigen antibody, whereas at time 0 or as time-dependent covariate in the risk of invasive candidiasis and in the risk of dying. So 1,3-beta-glucan only with a classical threshold of 80 picogram per ml at inclusion is the only predictor of subsequent invasive candidiasis in the long-term mechanically ventilated patients with morph, sepsis, and previous antibiotic therapy. The cumulative risk of invasive candidiasis is more than 25% in the placebo group, indicating a good pretest probability for starting the treatment. But 1,3-beta-glucan was not a predictor of day 28 deaths, and serial measurements were not able to improve the prediction. Menin antigen antibody was neither associated with invasive candidiasis nor with day 28 deaths, and probably new biomarkers, perhaps PCR or T2 candida, are needed to improve the prediction in this high-risk population. Thank you for your attention.